97.7 The Q and 98 Gold. We welcome in Dr. Nicki for Therapy Thursday. Good morning, Dr. Nicki. How are you?
Good morning. Great. I've decided not to do any of the dancing hands because
No?
we figured out why. It's too
Yeah, but it
bizarre.
doesn't look like him dancing. That's your own. That's the Dr. Nicki dance. Yeah, you're
Oh,
fine.
Dr.
Yeah,
Nikki,
you're fine.
I
Yeah,
don't
you're
know
fine.
everything. It's
Fine. You're
I'm on the edge of
fine.
my.
Yes, you're
Um,
fine. It's good to be back with you after taking a week off because we took, the majority of the week off last week. So it's good to be back with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
and it's funny because what we're going to talk about today is we took our week off. It was for rejuvenation. It was for recharging and getting ourselves back to good, as they say.
Do they say that?
I don't know. That's get yourself back to good. So, but you come back to work and you come back to real life, and real life isn't vacation, and there's stress and there's world things there, and that's what Cheryl had brought up when we came back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just by 10 o'clock yesterday, I honestly felt, and I don't like it, like I was going to cry.
Mhm.
And it's
Overwhelmed.
always an overwhelmed in a public place, and I feel more and more like there's an anxiety brewing and that it's a pile up. Like
Mhm.
there are things that are going unsaid because culturally, I just feel like there's always some mishigas, there's some craziness, there's some lunacy going on.
Lunacy.
And
Absolutely.
and I I
Yeah.
care about the world. I care about my fellow human being. Um I feel like I miss even the common things. Like I was a big hugger before COVID. That's like all gone, you know?
Why
And
don't
so
you could reclaim the hugging for yourself? That would be,
yeah, I
you
just
know.
kind of feel like the world changed and nobody asked me permission about that. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure how to be. And I'm 57. It's not like I'm 12 where it's like, okay, don't worry. When you get older, you'll navigate all this. And I just feel, I
Well,
feel,
actually, there is a little of that. When you get older, you'll know to get it. But
yeah,
because it becomes more like, but
yeah,
not the world, but I mean the things that as I say, derailed us initially.
yeah.
But there's a bunch of things that come up when you talk about that, and uh, um, it brings to mind when at one point I had this big car accident. I mean, I've had a couple
Oh,
I'm a terrible driver, but anyway, I had this car accident. Really, I shouldn't be on the road ever. But I had this terrible car accident, and in this case, it was not me at all, but it was just this horrible at the airport midnight kind of. I was
oh,
crashed into and whatever, and but I went ahead and got on the plane. Though I would, I had anyway. I was a mess, but I got on the plane, which probably wasn't the best idea. But my mother, I was going to see my mother, and she thought that would be just a dandy idea. Just go ahead and get on the plane. Okay, so I got on the plane and flew to New York, and because I'm in California, as you know, and by the time I got there, I was, real. I mean, I was in shock the whole time, right? I kind of immediately went into a state of PTSD, which I had always poo-pooed. I know people are making this up. It's just the insurance thing or whatever I had done. You know how I've had a tendency, which I think I'm over, of scoffing about that which I have not experienced until I experience it.
mhm.
As many do. So
And when you talk
anyway,
about PTSD, you're talking post-traumatic stress disorder.
post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay.
Now I have a quick question. Is this before you were a therapist?
No, yes, I think I was just studying to be a therapist at that
Gotcha.
point.
Gotcha.
Quite a long
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I'm in New York and we're in a store because, you know, when you have PTSD, that's what you want to do, is go to a store in New York where you're surrounded with 8 billion people. And I was standing there and I had this experience of that there were all these people there, but there was this sort of arcing wall around me. And it was the whole thing was very strange. I was in this sort of out of body, transformed, weird state, right? It was very, very frightening. And I'm not easily frightened unless it's medical. But, you know, it was very strange, very strange. I had this distorted vision. I came to believe over time that many people, if not most people, but certainly the people that I meet with, because people are coming to me because they're in trauma or they're in challenge or whatever it is, have extended PTSD from their childhood. That we're in shock over what happened when we were growing up to some degree. And because we don't realize it, we don't have hallucinations or whatever, like I did. We don't realize we're in it, but we're on tenterhooks. Now, add to that what is happening globally, certainly locally, but also globally. And then the life we lead after such a, you know, whatever our beginnings were. And add to that, and we are in a state of constant alert. Like, you know, those little alarms that go off. I don't know if you have them there, but the Amber Alerts.
Yeah,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pleasant sound, isn't it? So Amber Alert. By the way, where is this missing person? Why I'm in Burbank? Where is this person? Is this person near me? Why am I needing to have this? Okay, fine. So, but anyway, so I feel like we're all in that place now. Now we have been for a long time. I think it's the sort of the seeds of it live in us, and then promoted by social media, which started out to be, you know, challenging enough. And now we have social media, all the news that's unfit to print, fake narratives, lies, cheats, you know, wars constantly that we can read about, see pictures of. I mean, and we don't know what is it real, what's not real, who's really saying that, who's not real. I mean, it's very upending. So this pall of anxiety, like a cloud, is overcasting us. And what do we do? Anxiety, I mean, and that's real. So we feel this wash of overwhelm, right? First of all, I like to change that to I'm feeling whelmed today, not overwhelmed, because I am handling my whelmedness. You know, when things are, we have a choice of thinking differently and feeling differently. We have to shift our perspective. Is anything really dreadful happening in my life right this minute? Right? And not selfish about it. It's actually serving others to stabilize self. If we join the fray, everything gets worse. Now we're going to be doing this everywhere we go inside, right? And that's going to register, right? We have this magical thing going on right now. We have this radio show, right? It happens to be also, you got to get put together for it. That's another conversation, because now it's visual. Is it radio? I'm so confused. But anyway, it was the radio show. And to me, that's magical. I don't know how that happens. What is the sound wave thing? You know, how is this happening? I still don't understand the telephone. You know, I mean, what's going on? How is it I'm speaking, you're hearing me? I believe energetically, that's happening all the time also. That as we go through the world, sound waves come out of us, energetic sound waves. And if we're walking through the world shaky, it affects the immediate world which then affects the larger world. And
My
there's a lot of that going on.
so then let's say, because I have tried breathing and taking a moment, and that works.
Yes, because you're
Not
in
in
presence at that point.
correct, but not in the long term because the idiocy is still there. Like it's still there. I'm
Yes,
choosing not to go off half cocked and crazy
right,
and get
right,
sucked into the vortex at that moment.
right. The
But
idiocy is still there.
it's
And I
still
think
there,
we
and I
have
feel like
to,
it's building on top
so
of each other.
I know. And it's so one thing is we always want to look at where is my real power? Because it's a sense of powerlessness, right?
Right.
Uh, wow, the world is going to hell in a handbasket, and what am I doing? I'm sitting in a chair. I mean, there's going to be something I can
Mhm,
do. But
mhm.
what I can do is stabilize myself. And that breathing, by the way, that those exercises, whatever people do, if it's meditation, if it's washing dishes with focus, however people do whatever they do to be in the center of themselves, um, that wants to be done at best to start your day, to set your day, so you have a reference point. Great to find an image. Some people like a little flame that we're feeding that gets bigger, or a flower that's opening, or a camera lens that's open. So there's something where we're opening. So we have all these energy points, right? Every third eye,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
all this kind of things. Throat. So the heart center, which is the fourth center, and I think we've talked about this before,
yeah.
which is we call it the clear eye that sees all. The heart center doesn't have an emotional response and reactivity. The feeling center below it in the solar plexus is carrying all the material, right? The childhood material, the oh my God, there's a bomb coming,
Right,
material.
right.
It's all right in the solar plexus. But if we can stay somewhere in the heart, we're absolutely here.
Okay, so can I throw a scenario out? Would that be
Sure.
okay?
Of
Because
course.
maybe I'm thinking about this too much,
Hey, baby, it's your show, It's your
well,
show.
yeah. All right. So I grew up Orthodox Jewish. I'm actually Christian now. Okay.
Mhm.
On my dad's side, um, my grandfather's parents and family was killed in the Holocaust.
Mm.
Nobody ever spoke about it. It was just a thing. And my
Yeah.
grandfather was very like a serious man, never got a sick a day in his life, then got cancer and died like that. Got a
This is
brain
your
tumor.
biological grandparents?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm-mm. So my point in that is, and again, I'm not looking to talk about politics here.
I
The
know. And
per
that's a problem for us, isn't
But
it?
that's
Because
right.
we really can't do that in a way.
Correct.
But
Right. But I also can't detach the fact that I'm a caring person.
mhm,
Um, I believe in loving humanity and even my enemies.
mhm.
Am I perfect? No. So, I mean, it's a challenge not to, you know, rage out or freak out at someone doing something that's annoying. Yes. But I am feeling lately like if I'm quiet, it is the same thing that happened that allowed Hitler to come to
I
power. And
mhm.
if I am loud and I say, enough, enough is enough, and then I feel like I'm just as bad as people like exaggerating things for the sake of exaggerating things.
Yeah.
I don't, I don't have a political party anymore. Like this
Yeah,
is
who
just me
does?
personally,
I
and I
don't know
don't
who
care. I mean,
does.
Steve doesn't
Yeah.
talk politics, and that's fine. But I can't be a Democrat and I can't be a Republican anymore. That's
Right.
just the way it is. Um, and I think I'm just I don't want to say identity crisis, but I care about the universe. I don't know what to call myself.
Mhm.
I know that I'm not loco, like I'm not like
Yeah.
we can't eat processed foods and like
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
like that. I don't swing
Yeah.
on a pendulum. I know my body is mine and I don't want any males governing it at all. To the extent that I believe if Jesus came back right now today, he'd be pro woman and keep your hands off her body. I gave her a brain and that's between her and her doctor. Like I have all these feelings about everything, right? That I'm constantly going, okay.
P.S. Just to interrupt you, it's not only males trying to dominate what you do. Females are in this conversation too. That's just
Yes.
astonishing, but true.
Yes. So like there's all this like feeling of being disappointed that and quiet when I'm not quiet, but not knowing when to speak and it'll count for something. Like I am completely like paralyzed would be a great
Yeah,
thing. Whereas
yeah.
I never
So
gave a
I'll give
second
you a
thought
couple
about it.
different things. That's very cogent. Thank you. That's a wonderful. It's a wonderful description of the dilemma that's going on today. And
So you're saying I'm not
uh,
alone in it because that
oh,
even
you're so not alone in it, but that's
okay.
not really helping because if we talk about to people, if we talk about it to other people, we're just all going to sit around, which by the way is not bad, but sit
Right,
around going, I know, what do we do? What do we do?
right,
I've gone to some
right,
protests. Okay,
right,
and who cares?
right,
So I mean, I care because it makes me feel better to speak up. But
right,
speaking up is, we're public figures more or less, right? And
right.
we need to hold some sort of balance. As so the way we say things is much more cautious generally than I certainly am as a human being in my life. Um, However, and my great sadness is the lack of awakening. I mean, that's the biggest piece for me is that people are they're not even making their own choices. They're not even figuring it out. They're like, okay, that's going on over there. And that's that silence
Well,
thing.
and I have this weird thing in the back of my head. I go all the way back to how did the people that kept quiet when the Nazis were doing things,
Oh, I've had
how
that
did
thing
they
all my
feel
life.
when
That's,
they watched their
yeah,
kids go to the gas
no,
chamber? I mean, but
absolutely.
then I think to myself, okay, we don't have to be over the top
I don't think
crazy.
that's over the top. I want to say that to you. I do not think that's over the top. I think it's where it's a deep humanitarian piece, and I don't think it's over the top. I have the same question. We talk about that a lot. My Tom and I, and we visited Auschwitz 2 years ago because, why wouldn't you do that? And it was quite heartbreaking
Yeah.
and heart opening. This is the thing about heartbreak. Heartbreak is always heart opening. And I can't be mad at that. You know,
Mm.
you've said to me at various times that, you've been on the verge of tears a lot, right? And
I'm on the verge right now because I feel like what I see with immigrants is the same thing as my grandfather would talk about when he talked about it, and
absolutely.
it was not talked about.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, there's no one here in America that's not an immigrant, right?
right,
At some point.
right.
But the reason I
Yeah.
asked about was that you're biological is because I was, it's an interesting thing. I have to think about it, but I was thinking about the epigenetics. The epigenetics are the things that you don't inherit genetically, but there is a passed down message that comes along and affects everything we are and do and think. And this topic in you that you've thought about, that is as a top is a family conversation, right? It's a family conversation, so it's very rich in you, and there's no surprise that you're feeling that that's the topic that keeps coming up for you.
Well,
Also,
and side note, not to interrupt, but
no,
uh, they almost blew up a synagogue that I was set to give a speech at when I was 15 years old. My
Wow.
dad, when I had
15. So,
15.
anti-Semitism has been rich for
Correct.
many, many years, and it is
Correct.
rising again.
And then my dad, my 2-year-old had just turned 2 on a Friday, and he left synagogue to come home early for Friday night dinner to celebrate my daughter, and they shot at that corner and then killed later. They didn't kill anybody outside the synagogue. They killed a coach in Skokie, a black coach in Skokie. So like it's not it's bringing back all that
It's been
stuff.
it's been close to home. And that is what, generally wakes people up, is that something happens right at their doorstep. That's kind of the good news with the horror that's happening now in America, because it's not just something you're seeing on the news somewhere else. It's in your town. It's, the mass, that lovely young girl, I can't remember her name, when mass shootings first started, I think it was in Florida, and she rose up because she had this great voice. I mean, she had these great words, and she's very, very, I forget what her name is. She's African American, I believe, though.
Oh, is she the poet that spoke at the inauguration? No.
Okay. No, this is a young girl.
Got it.
And she said, this is the mass shooting generation. I was like, oh, that's, catchy, and dreadful. And, but there is this constant violence, a feeling of violence in the air, violent dialogue, rude bullying conversations, and it's now the norm, and it's been made acceptable. It's not acceptable to bully. It's not bullies are tragic characters who feel so terrible about themselves, they're trying to make other people feel even worse, trying to be in a one-up. So that's a dreadful thing. I wanted to just for a moment say about your tears, and I think we've talked about this before. Jung used to work a lot with the alchemical notions. I'm not very much, I don't do that kind of thing in terms of my awareness. I don't have that kind of, but the one of the, and there were only 4, so it wasn't hard to follow, but one of them is called salutio, and it is, it's, Latin. They were into the Latin in the 1920s. And so the salutio is the root of the word solution. And solution is twofold. Solution is a liquid, right? I put this in solution. I put my clothes in solution in water and add some chemicals, and they transform, right? Mm-hmm. And solution is also the solution. It's the thing that fixes stuff.
The fix. Yeah.
The fix. Tears are a solution. They're water. And they are often the thing that fixes at least the moment. It shifts our perspective. It allows us to feel all the feels. We were angry, we were depressed, we were scared, we were all the things, and the tears come. We were joyful, and the tears come. So it is very often our solution. So I just always implore people, have respect for your tears. Now, there are some people that, they burst into tears all the time, and it's kind of a manipulation, and they were used to using that. But that's really much rarer than it is common. And many people are taught to push their feelings down so that, but I say yay for the tears, because that's part of your solution. So, and sitting in the tears, when you're not in a space where you're overwhelmed by something that's just happened or whatever, letting your tears flow. and having respect for them. Trying to hold them back is the worst thing you can do, because it's not healthy, and B, it doesn't work.
It makes it worse for me anyway. I get like all ugly in the face on top of it. So
yes, and we don't want that. No one wants that.
yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So there's that piece. And
Yeah.
so there's the sort of the PTSD that we're all in, shock and no awe about all of the dreadful things happening, and that we have so little power. Now, I think in our ways we can speak up. We don't have to be shouting. We don't have to be, whispering. We can just speak up and say, this is not okay with me. Now, who do I contact or speak to, or who do I meet with or connect with, or what do I do to say that out loud? And I just say it to Steve, great, you say it, but in the private moments, okay, that's fine, but take it out. Tell people, if somebody says something, you say, I mean, one by one, you say, I don't believe what you're just saying is true. That doesn't feel right to me. No, it's not okay that we're trying to take over the world. It's not okay that there's National Guard going into cities. It's not even legal. None of these things are legal.
So now my question for the next segment will be, how then to separate that from the part of me the part that's angry.
Yeah. Okay.
Because then
let's talk about anger. Let's talk about anger. Talk about anxiety. And what I'm saying about anxiety is always to remember, because PTSD is kind of anxiety on crack, right? So it's like anxiety. But anxiety, and there's some, usually with PTSD, there's some physical stuff going on that we don't understand. But in terms of how we think about things, anxiety is always made up. It doesn't exist, except if you are truly in a battle with the bear. If the bear is in your face and you have anxiety, that is a wisdom piece. To the extent that we have anxiety, do I fight, freeze, or flee? That's your decision to make.
Got it.
Right? It's an alarm. Anxiety is a helpful alarm. If we're in chronic all day long anxiety, no bueno. Right. That is not good. We have to look at it piece by piece. What if this weren't about hunger, a million miles away, what would I be feeling right now? Where am I hungry? What am I hungry for? I'm not talking about, tacos.
Yeah.
What am I hungry for? So we face to grace. We face our feelings, we face our fears, we face our powerlessness. And then we see, what can we really do to make this different?
Okay. We're talking with Dr. Nicki. It's all part of Therapy Thursdays we do here on the Q and 98 Gold, as well as streaming on Facebook and YouTube Live. Visit stucknomore.com if you're watching on video. You can see the website address right there. Visit stucknomore.com and
her new book.
Start to be on the lookout for Dr. Nicki's new book,
The Divine Dramedy of Nicki Joy,
yes.
A true grime tale.
Yes, which soon we'll be diving into and get into pieces of and talk about, because I also want to dive into questions about the idea of trying to write a book that's about yourself, and I want to get your thoughts on that as well, and how that is to dig deep into.
I love that question. I love that avenue.
So we're going to get into more of that soon, but we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We've got the Mr. P Dumb Criminal of the Day coming up shortly, so stick around.